Hello, Fantasy Sports Nuns. Welcome to a November edition of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report. I'm your host, Brian Lyles, and it is November, and it is basketball season. And I believe that everyone's ready to get that knowledge and insight of who to pick for their hardwood floors, especially when you hear it upstairs. Anyway, with me is a great panel here to discuss the NBA season. And right next to me, everyone knows, the secret source, Langley Wiggins.
Yeah, welcome to the good life.
All right. New to the panel, he's the host of City Hoops that you do see here on DC TV. Tim Howard, welcome to the show.
Thanks, B.
All right. And returning from his great award-winning writing for the Sentinel is Brandy Sims. Welcome back, Brandy.
Glad to be back. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Gentlemen, let's get into it. The NBA is starting right now. A lot of teams, a lot of changes. But let's first start locally. Our beloved Wizards. Last year, they made it to the playoffs. Again, they get knocked out of the first round. After just 2 years prior, they finally made it past the first round for the first time in over 10 years. Now we're getting to the point where, is this really their chance now to move ahead and be a real contending team? But sadly, we lost Etan Thomas. So starting off with Brandy, I want to ask you about what are the Wizards' chances this year?
Well, Brian, I don't know what to make of this year's Wizards team. They're definitely going to have. They're going to miss Etan Thomas. He's an emotional leader for that group. But other guys are going to have to step up. Guys like Gilbert Arenas, obviously one of the top players in the league. He's going to have to take his game to another level and really lead that team, be a leader by example. Anton Jamison and Brendan Haywood's going to have to really emerge inside for the Wizards to be a playoff contender and go deep into the playoffs.
Okay. Tim, I want to ask you this. Everyone knows about the history between Etan Thomas and Brendan Haywood. Yeah, literally. Is this really, is this a good opportunity for Brendan Haywood? Basically, let's say for fantasy owners, is he a sleeper pick? If anyone is a big-time homer for the Wizards, should they pick him?
Brendan Haywood is probably the biggest bust we've seen, other than Kwame Brown, this decade. He's overrated. He's overpaid. He cries about time, but he doesn't produce when he gets on the court. One of the reasons why him and Etan Thomas got into it so much because Brendan wanted to play. Etan earned his playing time, and regardless of how much Etan earned his time and Brendan didn't, Brendan refused to accept the fact that Etan was better. But now that Etan is out, it does give Brendan a chance to solidify himself, but now he has another person that he has to deal with in Andre Block, who has shown in the preseason that he is ready to be an NBA player and contribute. He will be playing more center this year because of the absence of Etan Thomas, so his versatility and his athletic ability will get him more time, which means Brendan will sit on the end of the bench a little bit more.
All right, Langley, what's your view on the Wizards?
Now, go easy, my brother. Brendan, Tar Heel, that's my people, I don't talk down on my Tar Heels like that. But, Wizards had center problems since back in, Elvin Hayes almost. They've Wes Unseld. But they've had problems for a long time in the paint. So, and it's not a big surprise. Etan Thomas has missed time. He's missed time last year, the year before that. So they're always going to have problems in the paint. The big three carries that team: Caron Butler, Gilbert Arenas, and Jameson. Yeah, another Tar Heel.
Yeah.
Down for my Pete. And last year they just limped in the playoffs after getting off to a good start because Butler and Gilbert went down. So that's going to have to carry that team, the big three, and some defense.
And of course, the younger guys are going to have to step up. Antonio Daniels is going to have to. He's one of the active veterans on the team, but he's going to have to step
young
up.
guy.
He's one of the older guys on the
Senior
team.
citizen.
They did cut Tony Massenberg, who would have been a great addition to that squad, just because he has some experience of being in the league as long as he's been. But they did give him the axe, so they're not going to have his experience. But I mean, like you said, Langley, those big three guys, Butler, Jamison, and Gilbert Reese, are really going to have to, take their games to another level and carry the Wizards.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question now. Granted, I think the Wizards may have some competition. Everyone knows Kevin Garnett is now Celtic. What does this trade do for his value? Well, where does so now he's with the Celtics. Basically, the Celtics sort of trying to get their version of their big three. Langley, what do you think of Kevin Garnett's value now?
Well, first of all, what it's going to do is bring some excitement on the Eastern Conference. I mean, last year you really didn't have nothing but the Pistons and the Cavaliers. Cavaliers was just a one-man team. They put the cape on LeBron and said, fly, ride with him. But at least with Boston now, a second-year experienced Chicago team with Ben Wallace on it, and maybe a healthy Miami squad, this could bring some more competitive side to the Eastern Conference. As far as Kevin Garnett, he doesn't have to work hard anymore. I mean, all he got to do is control the paint. He don't have to be Mr. Everything, inside, outside, top of the key or whatever. He can just do what he does, and then he has help in Ray Allen and of course Paul Pierce. Yeah, so I mean, he doesn't have to work hard.
Well, speaking of which, let's say this: you have Paul Pierce, who's basically almost like the East Coast version of Kevin Garnett, because he was basically doing everything in Boston. So now, let me ask you this, Tim: do you feel the chemistry factor with Kevin Garnett there, will that be an improvement, or will that be a little problem?
It'll be an improvement because you have three veterans who understand what it takes to win, even though they haven't done a lot of winning. They've had their moments throughout their career and portions of their career. Paul Pierce enjoyed some success when Antoine Walker was there. When Ray Allen was in Milwaukee and early on in Seattle, they had success there. So they know what it takes to win. It's just and they're veterans. And one thing that you don't see a lot is people who are unselfish and give up points and give up stats in order to get wins. So you'll see. I mean, from a scoring standpoint, I mean, it's all about Paul Pierce, but Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett will contribute. I don't think it'll be a chemistry issue because they know each other. They've been around the league. They've been on all-star teams together and Olympic teams together, so they know each other pretty well.
Well, speaking of selfish, let's talk about two guys that I think are acting kind of selfishly, demanding their trades, Kobe and Shawn Marion. Brandon was talking about Kobe. He's been talking about trying to leave the Lakers for not 1, but 2 years now. A couple months ago, the GM basically said, all right, Kobe's tradable. Now, with that statement out there, how his value will be coming this season?
Well, if I'm Lakers management, if Kobe wants out, if he doesn't want to be there, why force a guy to be there? But if I'm shipping Kobe out, I'm getting a good player, or at least 2 or 3 good players for him, because he's one of the best players in the league, if not the best.
Okay. Now, what about Shawn Marion? He wants to come to the Lakers. Langley, do you feel like, why would you want to come to this team at this particular time?
I don't even know why. It's crazy. I mean, first of all, Kobe ain't going nowhere. He's just lobbying for somebody good to play with. Now, this could be a scheme to get Marion over there. But Marion, he balls with a lot of ballers at Phoenix, so he gets his share of touches and shots. So he's just upset because he's been hearing trade rumors with his name on it, so he wants to be traded. Oh, now I want to go to the Lakers? He wants to demand where he goes? He needs to shut up and play ball.
Okay. Let's say this, if you were the GM, Tim, who would you trade for, Kobe or Shawn?
Well, it depends who's on my team and what I need. You don't take a player just because of their name. You take a player based on what you need to win games. And one thing that Jerry Buss said that he would trade. Kobe's tradable, but he's not going to trade Kobe unless he can get something of equal value that's going to result in them winning. I mean, you can sell tickets, but if you're not getting wins, I mean, the purpose of playing sports is to win. So you can trade for whoever you want to sell tickets, but at the end of the night, you want to make sure you get a win. So if I'm a GM, basically it's what team I'm the GM of and what our needs are. If I have a shooting guard that already scores 25 points a game and a small forward that contributes, why would I need Kobe?
Well, something to think on, my friends. Anyway.
Well, but the Lakers have always, if you look at the past Lakers teams that have won championships, they've always had big name players.
Kobe and Shaq, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, Magic Johnson,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
they've had teams that consisted of a strong nucleus of talented players.
Yeah.
You had Magic, you had Worthy, you had Kareem, but you had other talented players, role players scattered around them, and that contributed to making a team.
But you always did have that big 2 or 3.
Yeah, all those players had chemistry.
If I'm a GM,
there was no egos involved with Kareem and Magic, and they all worked together as a team, and that's why they had the success that they did.
Yeah, so if I'm a GM and my nucleus already consists of a small forward and a shooting guard, then why would I add another small forward or shooting guard? Especially if I'm confident in a small forward and shooting guard I already have.
It's all about money, bringing in the championships and bringing in.
Well, let's say this. Well, let's put you guys are GMs. Let's say this. We'll start with you, Tim, with this question. We have our new segment here called Studs, Sleepers, and Stinkers. Who would be your top pick? Who would be that number one pick for you? Who would be that stud?
My own number one pick would be Steve Nash. Everything starts from. Everybody needs a floor leader. The coach of the team, your point guard is an extension of the coach. You need somebody to be the general on the floor. Steve Nash is a player who is just basically that, a general on the floor. He gets everybody involved. He runs the offense as perfectly as Mike D'Antoni wants. And that's the type of person you want, an unselfish guard to contribute offensively, defensively. He scores when he has to score. But he basically runs the team, and that's what you need to win championships. First of all, is a floor leader. So my first fantasy pick would be Steve Nash.
Randy, who'll be your number one stud?
Are you talking about rookies or
anybody?
Well, I'm going with Kevin Durant. I mean, he's a young guy, has a tremendous upside. We saw in college what he did, and if you get a guy like that, you can kind of build around him. I mean, he can play pretty much any position on the floor, and a guy like Durant can develop. And he's only 19, 20 years old. He has loads of potential, tremendous upside, so I'm going with Kevin Durant.
Langley?
Man, forget that. Love him or hate him, I'm going with Kobe. He will get you 28 to 35 almost every night, and if he wants to heist, he'll get 50.
Well, that's if he's facing Toronto every night. But
no, that's 81.
No, oh yeah, that's true. But my number one, everyone keeps forgetting him because there's a reason, and because he's very quiet, but he does the job, and that's Tim Duncan. Granted, I heard you guys earlier before because he's got a good team around him, but that's what makes him good. The man won 4 titles with help. Shaq had help. He didn't win those titles alone. When he supposedly was alone, that's when he went to the finals with Orlando and got swept out. Jordan didn't get to the finals by himself. He had Pippen, he had Cartwright, he had Paxson, all that stuff. Tim Duncan, he knows how to play basketball. He'll get you a good 25 to 30 to 35 points almost every night. He'll get you those top, at least 10 rebounds. And he's a very, very tough, defending basketball player. That's why I feel like he's a good number one pick.
He ain't getting you 35 almost every night.
Almost, I said. Almost. Who's your sleeper, Langley?
Sleeper. I will go with Rashard Lewis, actually. I think that he's going to change Orlando. I think that he's going to be out for revenge because Seattle drafted those 2 young studs from college, and they kicked the 2 old boys out, him and Ray Allen. So he's going to a spot now where he can shine because Orlando needs that second guy that can take over, and he can be that guy. Plus, it'll boost the Eastern Conference.
True. Tim, who's your sleeper pick?
My sleeper pick is Steve Francis, Houston Rockets.
That's a snoring pick.
It is a snoring pick. People forgot about Steve Francis. because his time in Orlando and what happened in New York, but he's back in Houston with a much better team now than he had when they got rid of him. And even though he is the franchise, he was the franchise, he still is the franchise. He's the franchise.
That's a nickname.
He's the franchise. He's always going to be the franchise to me. But Steve Francis, it's not as much emphasis on stopping Steve Francis now as opposed to when he was there before. So with less attention focused on him would allow him to score points easier. And then because he has Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady that contributes to more assists. Defensively, he's always been one of the tops in steals in the league, and he's healthy now. And that's one of the reasons why he didn't have success in Orlando, New York, because he was injured a lot. So my sleeper is Steve Francis. Don't sleep on Steve Francis.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
Brandon, who's your sleeper pick?
Well, I'm going with Allen Iverson, a former #1 pick out of Georgetown University here in the nation's capital. I mean, even though he plays out in Denver, still one of the top players in the league, one of the top point guards in the league. You can't go wrong with a guy like Allen Iverson.
In a weird way, I kind of would like to agree with, but at the same time, it's like you said, I think they're a bunch of snorers because one, for the main reasons for those two guys, they do get injured a lot. So, but I just feel one, Allen Iverson, he needed to leave Philly. He needs it. And I can see Francis, he needed a new place to go, but I'm surprised he's back in Houston. But I just feel like, during the season, maybe we'll see. If they remain healthy, I can semi-agree with you. But my sleeper pick is a rookie, and I think him being drafted to Chicago Bulls I think he'll be a perfect pick, is Joakim Noah. I think he's coming off from 2 back-to-back NCAA championships with Florida. I think being drafted to the young Bulls, being part of that chemistry, and I think him learning from Ben Wallace is an excellent choice for that team, and I think he can go far with that team. And I think he may get if he's starting, that's great. If he's coming off the bench, I think it's even better because a lot of people will be not prepared to deal with what he can give.
What can he give?
I think he can. I mean, he's a good shot blocker. He's a good rebounder. I mean, you saw that during the 2 Final Four games that he had, the 2 championship games. I mean, and I mean he basically outshined Odin if you think about it. He basically was carrying that team. I mean, he was one of the outstanding players during the whole tournament. So
they had a better team though.
True.
But if he's going to play in the paint in Chicago, he's going to have to bulk up.
Yeah, he's definitely skin and bones. I mean, he needs to bulk up.
True.
To
that's where Ben Wallace comes in.
Compete with the NBA big boys.
Right. We go sleeping to the stinkers, and for any of you Shaq fans, Shaq Diesels, whatever, I cannot. I mean, I like him. He's I give him all praise, but I think this is his time to start joining the law enforcement here because he's done. I'm sorry. It's just like he's got bad feet. Ever since he went to Miami, his numbers has been down. I mean, just dropping. He hasn't played a full season in about 10 years. Granted, everyone knows he's going through a divorce, so that's going to affect him. So I just think that you're not going to see the Shaq that you. Granted, you said earlier about Miami trying to be healthy, but it's not going to be with Shaq. So that's my stinker pick. I say avoid him. So Tim, actually, who would be your stinker pick?
That was actually my stinker pick. If there's anybody in the league I can think of is overrated, it's Shaquille O'Neal. Obviously, he's had a great career, but what he does this season, you can't base on what he's done 10 years ago. He is over 30. He's almost 35 years old. His stats have went down every year. The franchise is Dwayne Wade is current this franchise now, and they just added Ricky Davis. They're trying to get younger players in there. So Shaquille won't be the focal point of the team. He'll be a role player. He'll probably be a 3rd or 4th option. As long as he just knocks people around, he's useful. But as far as fantasy stats, don't waste your money.
Brandy, who's your stinker pick? Who should we avoid?
I'll say Shaq. The same reasons you guys pointed out.
Okay.
He's getting up there in age, and he's not the same Shaq that he used to be.
Right. Langland, sir?
I'm going uniquely on this one. See, for all the dimes out there that's playing fantasy basketball, please stay away from Isaiah Thomas. The brother has proven he has no pimp game in the Big Apple.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with our November games of the NFL.
Give it up, Zeke.
Hi, I'm Fantasy Sports World Girl Tish. Stay tuned for more fantasy sports news and world report.
Hi, I'm Fantasy Sports World Girl Tanya Hartwell, and welcome back to the second half of Fantasy Sports News and World Report.
I'm your host, Brian Lyles, and we're going to talk about the big games here in the NFL of the month of November. Technically, there's not that many big games because, well, it's getting down to playoff times, and most of those teams, some of the teams have clinched playoff spots maybe, but the first game, and we got to do this really quickly, I would like to talk about is the Colts and Chargers. Now, a lot of people are wondering, well, why not talk about the Patriots and Colts the week before? Reason being is I feel like this is the game where we'll see where the Colts and Chargers will be at, especially the Colts. If they win this game, win their game against the Patriots, how they will be against the Chargers the following week. Win or lose, and see how they react. Currently, Langley, how would you feel about the Chargers and Colts in this game right
Well,
now?
you want to see where the Chargers are going to be at. You know where the Colts are going to be at. So, I mean, you know, they're going to be up there whether they beat the Patriots the week before or not. This is probably a take advantage type game for the Chargers. So, where's it played at?
Right now it's in San Diego, but due to the current fire situation, it may be moved somewhere else. So.
And they're going through that situation. I mean, that could affect the Chargers heading into that game.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with the Colts.
All right. Tim, who are you picking?
I'm going with the Colts.
It's going to be interesting to see Peyton Manning against that Charger defense led by University of Maryland product Sean Merriman. I'm
plug in the
yeah, of course.
Like you with the Tar Heels.
But I'm going to go with Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts.
All right. I think this will be a very interesting game, depending on where it's played. If it stays in San Diego with that adrenaline rush, I think San Diego may take this team. I think this is where the Colts, either A, if they beat the Patriots, this will be their first loss, or B, this will be their second loss. So I think the Chargers have a chance to beat this team. The next game, this is for you, Langley. Niners and Rams. Lots been going on. Beginning of the year, it looked like the Niners were going to go places, but now it's like, okay, what the hell? And with the Rams, basically they're done. So what do you think of this game right now?
You actually want me to answer that?
Of course. Let the world know what you think.
I'm thinking our season is already over. And if we were smart, we'll lose to the Rams so we can get a first round pick. But I guess we'd be too dumb to do that. So I'm picking us at home.
All right. Brandy, who you got for the Rams and Niners?
Rams and Niners. That's a good matchup. I'm from California. The Rams used to play in California.
Yeah.
The 49ers still play there. I'll go with the 49ers.
So what are you thinking?
Where are they playing?
They're playing in San Fran.
San Fran. I'm going with San Fran. San Fran has a better defense. Both teams has experienced a lot of injuries from the quarterback position. Steven Jackson is just coming back from injury for the Rams, but I think it's going to come down to the San Francisco defense that makes a difference and them being at home. So I'm going with San Fran.
Hey, let me go back to the first game. Now, weren't you like a show ago or so on North Turner's case?
Yes, but the thing is, like I said, I think that with the Chargers, they're going to do it for the fans. They're going to do it for the city. They're not doing it for Norv, and I don't care about Norv. Norv is out the door anyway. So the Chargers, management already screwed that up. So But anyway, to fill it out, I'm going to pick for the Niners. I think the Rams, they're basically done, so they're looking for the number 1 pick for their draft. Thanksgiving, finally, the first Thanksgiving game, the opening Thanksgiving game that's worth watching. Packers and Lions. It's been a while since the Lions have looked decent enough to watch, so Brady, who are you going to pick?
Lions are an up-and-coming team. A couple of talented wide receivers in Roy Williams and Calvin Johnson. They look good early on in the season.
Nobody from Maryland?
Can't go against, no way I'm going to bet against Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre is too good to let that one slip away.
Okay. Tim, who you got?
I'm going with the Lions. The Lions have always played well on Thanksgiving. They upset the Cowboys a couple of years ago when they were atrocious. They're not that much better now, but they've always done good on Thanksgiving. I think they're going to upset the Packers this year.
Okay. Langley?
I'm going with the Lions because them boys been getting their tails kicked for the last few years on Thanksgiving. So they're going to return the favor. They're going to open up a can.
I think, well, the one thing you did note that, Brett Favre, you can't go against him, but here's the one thing that is against him, the dome. And I think him playing in Ford Field will be a very, very major element for his.
Loud?
Yeah, not just loud. It's just somehow him and being in a dome, it just doesn't work right. So, and especially facing a divisional foe, it doesn't really help it either. So I'm going with the Lions. I think they're going to take the Turduncan and win that game. Lastly,
Duncan?
Yeah, the Turduncan. Yes, it is actually an actual dish. Saints and Panthers.
I don't want to try it.
Saints and Panthers, make this quickly. Saints not looking where they should be as NFC South Division champions and a very powerful NFC contender. And the Panthers, basically, they've been known as the NFC contender for a while, but they're showing some not so viewable things. I just think that these two are not really up to par. So right now I'm picking the Saints just to the fact that I think they're trying to build some momentum to make themselves look decent. Tim, who do you think will win this one?
The Saints. It's the Saints. One thing, like I said, they build up momentum. I think by the time they do play, they'll build enough momentum to be back close to where they were last year, contender for a playoff spot.
Okay. Brandy, quickly, Saints or Panthers?
A guy like Reggie Bush in the Saints backfield and all the things he can do for a team. I'm going to go on with the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. Langley?
Saints, they won their last 2, plus they did a tap dance on Seattle a couple of weeks ago. I was impressed.
All right, folks. Well, I'd like to thank my panel here for joining us today on the Fantasy Sports News and World Report, and I'd like to thank you for watching. But before we go, we have our Fantasy World Girl of the Month. Her name is Michelle Mirpour. She is a actress and a model. You can see her on this movie called Full Circle, which is out and about. It's a nice action drama, so I hope you can enjoy that. And also, I like to dedicate this show to my director, Miss Felicia Murphy. She is recently got married last month, so that's why she wasn't directing our show last time. So congratulations. My time is out. Peace.